Close. All right, it is time. Let's see, we got Isabel, we got Natalie coming in. I've definitely noticed a distinct trend, and it continues, that the higher up the grade level, the closer and closer to actual class start time that people finally join the Zoom. That is to say, the freshmen are always way early, right? And the sophomores a little less so, juniors a little less so, and then up to the seniors who cut it just on the nick of in fact, technically, if by the second, they often show up late. Why that is? I don't know. Call it a digital version of senioritis, perhaps. Blaming the other teachers. See how it is? I see. Yeah, all right. I believe it this time, but that's not always the case, because you don't all have the same teacher. It's everybody, right? That's what I'm saying. Different folks on different days. It's a common trend. It's a common trend. All right, or maybe is it all the teachers? Is it all the other senior teachers tend to hold you back? I don't know. All right, that's okay. Okay, you're here now. That's the important thing. All right, so let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Hello, how are you? I hope you had a great restful weekend. And I hope you got started on the chapter review, because that is going to be our focus for today. I have a few things I would like to point out to you, highlight, bring your attention to. And then I will turn it to you if you have any questions for me, any types of problems you want to go over, or specific questions that you've seen in the review that you would like more explanation of. We can go through that, but otherwise I will then leave the rest of the time for you to just work on completing the review, or as much of the review as you can do. If I recall correctly, how I set it up is I said for level 1, just do this section here, the chapter 5 test part at the end of the chapter, because this is a nice short, only 18 questions collection of a little bit of everything, right? It's grab a question from each section. And then level 2 would have you go in to the rest of the review and summary there. Not the definitions and concepts, but the actual review exercises here, where they break it down by section. So if you need more practice on 5.1, well, here's some more practice on 5.1. 5.2 and 5.3, oh, I got those easy, Mr. Apple, right? Let's skip those ones and go straight to the 5.4. That's where it got difficult, so you can spend more time in 5.4. That would be my recommendation for you. Do the test, right? Because this has, as I said, a little bit of everything, right? Check your answers. The answers are in the back of the textbook. I go all the way down. Okay, I'm not going to scroll that far on here, but they're there. They're posted. You can check how you did. Okay, grade yourself on this test. Right? How did you do? How many out of 18 could you do? And whichever ones you get wrong, identify what section those belong into. Right? What type of question is it? Oh, this is a exact value of a trig function of a plus b. Ooh, hey, that's a, cosine of a sum of angles. And you find, right, what category that goes in. Go to that section. Review that section and then try some of the example review questions there. Right? That would be how I would approach this. The chapter test itself, I'll give you a few insider pointer tips here. I've been putting it together. I'm in the process of digitizing the format there. So we're going to go with, well, we'll make a few notes here on the side. So the test, right? There we go. Everybody can point back to this part in the video. We're going to go with quizzes again. I like the bright, colorful, friendly format. I also like the fact that, one, I can set up a test bank. This is a fairly new feature this year. So what I'm going to do is I will set up a bank of 42 questions. Okay? You will take 20 at a time. Okay? I'll let you work out the probability there and the different combinations. Okay? But essentially, there will be 42 possible questions, of which quizzes will grab a random selection of 20 of them to give to you. So your test will be a unique collection of 20 out of the 42 possible questions. Okay? And once again, there will be 3 attempts. Okay? So you will built right into the quizzes setup using their wonderful retake technology. You can retake the test itself automatically right there and then, up to, 2 additional times. So 3 total attempts, each one having 20 all multiple choice questions. You're welcome. All multiple choice. No fill in the blanks this time. Okay? 20 multiple choice questions. Again, each attempt will be a new selection, right? It'll be a new set of 20 questions, possibly entirely new. Maybe you get the other half. Maybe there'll be some repeated. Okay? There's several questions that all cover the same topic, right? So if it's product to sum formula, there's a handful, 3 or 4 different questions. They're all product to sum formula questions. Right? Now, the thing that I'm going to do a little bit different this time around is the time. Okay? I want you to slow down. Okay? Previously, when I offered these retakes, I saw people do the retake immediately after they finished. Okay? They would finish their first attempt, go, not good enough. They would log right back in, run it entirely again, and they would get like 1 more question. It's like, okay, you got 15 out of 20. Do it again. 16 out of 20. Okay, you just burned your second attempt and you got 1 more problem. That pattern continues. I'd only expect you try again and you get 17, 18 out of 20 maybe. I want you to get to 20 out of 20. I want you to get 100%. So please, take more time. In fact, I'm going to give you more time. You have 2 days to complete it. Test will go up Wednesday morning. You have until Thursday night. Okay? 2 whole days to work on this. I want you to space it out, just like with the review. Okay? With the review, try this chapter test mini version. In fact, it's actually not that many, right? It's 18 questions, so it'll give you a good idea of the length, right, of time that it will take for the real test. Grade yourself. See what needs to be done. Go back and review that section. Okay? The quizzes test is graded automatically. After you finish your first attempt, look back over it. It shows you which ones you got wrong. Write that down. Go back, study. Do not take it again immediately. Give yourself at least an hour of prep time. Whether that's straight on study or at least take a mental break, get up, walk around, do something else, get a snack, okay? Come back fresh, rejuvenated, and re-studied up, okay? Prepared to tackle it again. All right. So that's the format. Any questions there? Then let's talk content a little bit, and then I'll turn it over to questions. So just to kind of review what each section encompasses. Right, 5.1, verifying the trig identities. You have those fundamental trig identities given in the box on page 622, okay? If you don't have that box bright and colorful and highlighted in your notes, make it easy access and obvious now, okay? That's some of the simple ones like secant equals 1 over cosine, right? The reciprocal identities, those were in it. The Pythagorean identities, sine squared plus cosine squared, right? All that good stuff. Those simple ones of being able to substitute one form for the other. Okay? The next several sections are all about types of formulas. The sum and difference formulas. Okay? The double angle, power reducing, half angle formulas. Power reducing is probably the trickiest one on there. They're just the squared. What do you do with a sine squared? Well, if I had sine squared plus cosine squared, I could, Pythagorean identity. They're based on those Pythagorean identities, but they're a little bit simplified. So other things you can do with a sine squared. How do you make it not squared, just regular sine? Okay. Sometimes that comes in handy. And then 5.4, the product to sum and sum to product formulas. Okay. All three of those sections do the same thing. Here is a formula for turning one type of trig thing into another type of trig thing. It's just switching back and forth. Okay. So sometimes you will be asked to swap from one to the other. Say, here's a thing, use such and such type of formula to rewrite it. Okay? The other type of question would be to solve or simplify, right? Find the exact solution to cosine squared this plus sine squared of that, right? In which case you will need to not only apply the formula to simplify it, but also your unit circle. Okay? Use your unit circle. Have the unit circle. You should have the full thing in all of its glory in your notes, so you can quickly look it up and reference and oh, yep, sine of 60 degrees. There it is. Square root of 3 over 2. Boom, done. Right? Don't waste your time not trying to work that out. Have the whole thing written down. There's no reason not to. You can use your notes on this test. So make your notes the best, most useful possible. And then the other type of question. So you've got straight up, use the formula to change from one form to the other. You've got use the formula to simplify, and then unit circle to find exact solutions. And then the third thing is one of those, find the other trig thing. So they'll tell you like, oh, sine is this. It's in quadrant 2, and find the cosecant, right? That kind of thing, where they set you up with a couple of weird things. This is the trigger information, the like red flag, if you will. Hey, if they tell you what quadrant an angle is in, odds are this is the type of question they're setting up. And what you want to do is you want to set up your triangle in that quadrant. Okay, I have my triangle here in quadrant 2. I know that, and this is where you'll use your right triangle trig, SOHCAHTOA. Right? So they give you the sign, opposite over hypotenuse. So I know these two values. Use Pythagorean theorem to find this side of the triangle. This is which ratio? Pick whatever it is. This is 1 over cosecant is 1 over sine. Actually, you didn't even okay, that was a poor example on my part, but you understand the idea, right? Set up which ratio it is, right? Pick out which things you need and set them up to get the new trig ratio. Okay, you're going from ratio to triangle to new ratio. Got it? Okay, and then the last section, the trigonometric equations. This is where it all comes together, right? Finding all the values that satisfy the trig equations. The biggest thing to remember on here is check your domains. Okay, they will define a domain for you, typically like, oh, find all the solutions from 0 to 2 pi, right? So you have to check all of the possible solutions. Which angles, good old unit circle, right? Notice these have the same height. So which angles are those that match up, that both will satisfy the equation? Other hot tip for you, use your graphing calculator to your advantage. There are some questions here that will explicitly ask for your graphing calculator. They will tell you, hey, graph this and use that to find it, or they will say, use the graphing calculator to find the solutions to 4 decimal places or whatever it is. But even if they don't, you can always use that to help you. Might not be able to find the value of the exact solutions because it'll give you the decimal form instead of the irrational form, but you can still use that to determine, how many solutions. If it says, hey, find when, it's like, hey, cosine squared of thing plus sine of the thing, right, equals 12, okay? Go to your graphing calculator, say y1 equals cosine squared, right? Put in that half the function. y2 equals 12. Okay? Then go to don't go to, you can graph it, but then there will be just above that, calc. Okay? Calculate intersection. Find where does this intersect that, all right? Find how many times between 0 and 2 pi. Oh, 1, 2, 3, and then it stops here. There's 2 pi. Okay, I need 3 answers. So even if it doesn't tell you the value of it, it can at least tell you how many you should have, and then you can use that to help you work out, okay, how many times we need this. In addition to the domains, remember the period of your functions. How often does it repeat? So you find one answer. It's square root 3 over 2 plus, n times pi halves, right? Every time I add half a pi, I get a new solution because the function is repeating itself over and over again, okay? Sometimes you'll need the generic solution, and this will be literally your answer. Other times you'll just use this formula to keep adding so many pi halves until you have all your solutions. You've got, all 3 of them that you saw there on the graph. All right. Okay, so that's my general overview for you. Do you guys have any specific questions you'd like me to go through? No? Any less specific? Based on what I've just discussed, is there anything that stands out to you, like, ooh, could you do us an example of that kind of question? We'll go through an actual example. No? Timer on the questions? No. I will turn the timer off this time. Right, again, I'm trying to emphasize take more time. Yes, I can add that. No question timer. Anything else? Yep. All right, well, then let me wrap up the stream here. And I will leave you guys with the rest of the period to just go ahead and get to work on the chapter review questions. If you do run into anything, feel free to ask. So if you're in the middle of something, we still got time, stop and ask.